And hello, friends. Welcome to a even happier edition of the Happy Half Hour.
These just keep getting happier and happier every time we do them. I think it's because of us.
It's clearly.
I think we're the impetus of all happy things in Charlotte right now.
It's either because of us or your opportunity to win 2 tickets to the November 9th Saints game by entering the Sweet Sip Sweepstakes presented by our friends at Deep Eddy Vodka. You can enter your craft cocktail between now and October 26th for a chance to win 2 tickets to that Saints game, which a lot of people are going to want to come to. You'll get access to the One Carolina suite, exclusive access, some Deep Eddy swag in the Deep Eddy suite. Create your custom cocktail and enter to win and join us here at Bank of America Stadium, which all of a sudden
That's a hot ticket.
Is a happening place to be.
Yeah, it is.
Were you in this building last night? Yeah, you were.
I was about to say yes. I was sitting next to you.
I was talking to the audience at large. It was a theater of the mind kind of thing for the people who are just listening and not watching us on the team's YouTube channel. And if you're not, what's wrong with you? But, yeah, the vibes were good in Bank of America Stadium yesterday.
The vibes were very good. As someone who has been here for past Cowboys games in this stadium, it was a lot more Panthers fans than normal, so that was really encouraging. J.C. Horn thanked them for that after the game. And it made a difference at times. You know, there were a couple of false starts on Cowboys, right? Am I remembering that correctly?
There was some impact, I would say, of the home crowd. It was definitely heard.
And an exciting win. Got to see a walk-off field goal. Got to see a perfectly executed final drive by the Panthers offense. Held that ball for more than 6 minutes. I think,
right.
They scored the Cowboys scored a field goal with 6:07 left in the fourth quarter to tie it and did not touch the ball again.
And never got it back.
Yeah.
I mean, it was actually, and that kind of goes into the first thing I wanted to talk about with this team. I mean, we can talk about field goals. We can talk about Bryce Young. We can talk about Rico D, all of those things, and we will. They're all important. But to me, as the old person who is charged with perspective around here, the biggest difference
That's your job?
Yeah, the biggest difference in this Carolina Panthers team right now is what's happening on defense.
Yeah.
The Carolina Panthers have allowed 50 rushing yards in the last 2 weeks combined.
That's total.
That was a quarter earlier this season against Jacksonville and for the last 6 games of last season when things got loose. I mean, it was just it's just not even a comparison. It's kind of sometimes I don't even know how to describe it because it's so different than what I've experienced fairly recently. But you see why Dan Morgan went out on the first day of free agency and signed him a Tershawn Wharton and a Bobby Brown and a Trayvon Merrick and a Christian Roseboom and a Pat Jones. You see why they put so much emphasis on adding to the front seven of the defense on draft day with Nick and Princely. And we keep talking about this over and over. And maybe it just surprises me a little bit because it's so dramatically different from what we saw at tail end of last year and that first game of this year that it's like, wow, this is what that group can become.
I was talking to Lathan Ransom and Trayvon Merrick in the locker room today about the run defense and how important setting the edges in that run defense, because that was something Dave Canales pointed out during his Monday press conference as well. And Lathan kind of joked, and he said, well, it's a lot easier to set the edge when you've got an extra outside linebacker out there in Trayvon Merrick. And you know what? He ain't wrong. Like, that's kind of what Merrick feels like. That's how Merrick plays sometimes. And when it's going well, you see more guys getting excited about it. When J.C. Horn and Mike Jack are excited about throwing themselves into a gang tackle and run defense, like, that means your defense is moving in a good place and in a good way.
Right. And people don't care about the way we do our jobs. But just take you behind the curtain here. We've got a team of photographers out there on the field on game days. So after games, we literally have thousands of images to pull from. And they go into a certain folder. We're looking at it on the computer. And when you start looking for pictures to describe the run defense right now and the defense as a whole and the way they're playing, there are about 350 versions of many large people enveloping a much smaller one. And you're used to seeing those when it's just Derek Brown out there because Derek has a way of doing things. I used a picture last night of Derek Brown standing up in front of Terrence Steele. And Terrence Steele's a 6'6", 320-pound human being. And Derek Brown was just over the top of him, looking gigantic and menacing. And there's a lot of that happening right now with that whole front. You saw Bobby Brown have his best game as a Panther, I thought. He was active. He was in the backfield. He was making a lot of stops. And those guys, there were so many of them. They're coming at you in waves. A'Shawn Robinson continues to be the old head, the pro. And A'Shawn's got that kind of, I think because of the way A'Shawn talks. He's got a very deep voice. He doesn't mind talking low. He's got that serious tone, and he just intimidates people. He's an intimidating-looking guy sometimes, and I think on the field he plays with that style, and that's contagious, man. Those guys are playing defense at a way that I think Dan and Dave, when they were putting this team together in the offseason, could only dream of making the kind of progress they've made through 6 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, kind of just piggybacking off that to wrap up, like you're seeing them swarm more and more, which coaches always say you want all 11 hats to the ball. You want them to swarm. Coaches say it doesn't always happen. You know, guys see, oh, that tackle's already kind of getting made. I'm on the other side of the field. I'm just going to stand right here.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mentioned this last week when we were doing our Throwback Thursday and looking at that 2015 Seattle game, how much of that defense swarmed. And it was such a noticeable effect and difference in the game. And you're really kind of seeing that with this defense come about over the last couple of weeks.
Right. And it has been impressive just seeing the way they're playing off of each other. You've heard those magic words, complementary football, come up so often in the last couple of weeks. But when the offense is able to sustain drives and run the way they have, the defense gets to sit and take a breath, get a drink of water, and really gather themselves for what's to come. I mean, you were talking about that fourth quarter drive. After the Cowboys hit the field goal, Carolina Panthers got the ball back. They didn't do a whole lot with it. They punted. That's when you had that series where the Cowboys went 3 and out, and it was Trayvon Merrick dropping Javonte Williams for a 7-yard loss. Williams goes backwards for 5 with Trevin Wallace on the other end of it on the next play. And then on 3rd and 22 or whatever, you get this harmless little pass to a fullback in a flat ball game. The number one offense in the NFL never sees the ball again because, by the way, that man, Rico Dowdle, is out there doing his thing.
Yeah. Thank you for correcting me. I said when they got the field goal, they didn't touch again. Yeah. It was 6:07, the 6:07 mark.
Then they traded 3 and outs.
But the 6:07
mark.
But
at 6:07,
for
Dak Prescott
over
was done.
6 minutes to stand there and watch. Yeah, Rico Dowdle, he did his thing. He backed it up. You know, this is a team that is very baseline. You know, they stay within themselves, as Coach Canales always tells them to do. You know, come back to us. But this one was a little personal for Rico. He admitted it. Canales admitted it. Bryce Young admitted it. And Buddy, he went out there and backed it up. A franchise record, 239 yards from scrimmage. He just squeaked past Christian McCaffrey, who did 237 twice.
Yeah. So now the top 4 in yards from scrimmage in Panthers franchise history is Rico Dowdle, Christian McCaffrey, and Rico Dowdle.
Because of the 234 last week.
Right.
That one was fun keeping up with in the press box. I know you had already gone downstairs to get ready for postgame, but we were watching. It required a lot of math, which Darin knows is not my strong suit. But we figured out, okay, he needs 8 yards to set it. You know, 7 to tie CMC, 8 to set it. And he had one run, and we all kind of thought it might be, and everybody was like tense and waiting just to see where they would mark the ball. And then it comes over the speaker, 9-yard gain, and it was like, he did it. So that one was fun to keep up with. And what a run he's been on. What a run this offensive line and tight ends have been on.
Yeah.
Like, goodness gracious. I believe, and I will double check this, so I will let y'all know for sure. But last I checked, I say I'll double check because this could have changed with games that finished last night. Last I checked, Rico Dowdle was top in the NFL in yards before contact, meaning he was running a good, I think, like 2.6 yards before he was ever getting touched. That is just an insane number. And we've seen even when he gets touched, he can bounce out of it and step out of it. But
that's right.
2.6 yards or something around those lines before he's even touched, like that offensive line is just opening up lanes that, all respect to Rico Dowdle, you or I could run through some of them, Darren.
Well, they were, and it's becoming my favorite play in the Carolina Panthers offensive arsenal. It's not Spider X2Y banana. It's find big old Damian Lewis and run where he used to be because there's a space there now. And D-Lew was out there in front of a lot of those big Rico Dowdle runs.
Yeah, he was. Damian was. And I asked a couple of guys on defense today, like, let's say you're on the other side of the ball out there and you see Damian Lewis just like chugging down to the second level. What are you doing? And a couple of guys said, like, you got to make a business decision real quick.
Yeah.
DJ Wanham said, I'll meet him, but then I guess we're just going to have to see what happens. Like, he's like, I don't know. I don't want to think about it too hard. I can't think about it.
Right. And D-Lew, it's impressive to me to think about, and I was talking to Austin Corbett about this a little bit ago downstairs, and stay tuned to Panthers.com for all the latest. We got you covered on a lot of different angles coming up in the next couple of days. But Austin was talking about with all the changes. He's been here through changes before. Mm-hmm. He was here. He was one of the patient zeros in 2023 when they used about 7 different left guards and 8 different right guards during the course of a season. They're on that pace right now, but the results are actually good because instead of cycling through guys you're dragging off the street, and they were literally dragging guys in off the street and starting them within days, this is a bunch that knows each other. Mm-hmm. And so even though you're down to a new group, I mean, if you look at the reserve offensive linemen in Sunday's game, they were Nick Samak, Jake Curhan, and practice squad elevation Brandon Walton, of course. Everybody knows those guys because you've put guys on IR. 3 have gone on IR this year already with Austin, Chandler Zavala, Rob Hunt, the big one. But they've been able to set this standard with these guys because Brady Christensen knows what to do. He knows how to play all 5 positions. Cade Mays has stepped in and played guard and center at a pretty high level. You've got a Yosh Nijman who started fairly well at both tackles this year. So it's just such a cohesive group, and it's impressive seeing what they're doing out in front. And it's also one of the things, and it's one of those kind of fine points you see if you read inside the numbers on Panthers.com and get into those snap counts. Mitchell Evans, the second tight end, played 58% of the snaps in yesterday's game.
That's crazy. How much did James Mitchell play?
You think the Carolina Panthers are serious about running? James Mitchell, the third tight end, was out there for 10 snaps, 15% of the game. But 60% of the game, they're out there in 2 tight end with a big old offensive line saying, let's go, and they went.
They were running out there sometimes with like 6 offensive linemen, 3 tight ends.
Yeah, there is a statement of intent quality to what they're doing offensively right now. But, good for Rico, and Rico's having fun with it. He enjoys running through them big holes, and, he got on people's radars last week by making a buckle up comment to the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. And, last night you were sitting in there when somebody said, what would you say to them now?
They didn't buckle up.
And it's okay to enjoy it. It's okay. So he clearly did, and he's on a heater. But we'll see how that develops over the next couple of days. Canales said today they're getting closer to that point of getting some guys back into the mix. And, he got asked the perpetual question about what are you going to do with Chuba when he comes back with Rico on this kind of heater. And Dave just kind of grinned and said, we'll see.
We'll see.
It's
a good problem.
He does the old coach thing. It's a good problem to have because – he's talked about being able to call the whole play sheet when you've got 2 guys like that and you can do it all with them. I mean, and the reality of this is you can use them both.
Yeah.
I have been here. I have been here when generally the thing that allows you to use them both is attrition, kind of like Chuba missing these last couple games. When Stephen Davis and Deshaun Foster were doing it, one or the other one might be hurt at any given time. When it was D'Angelo and Stewart, guys would get hurt and be in and out of games, and the other one would have to take over. But you can use 2 at a time.
Right.
That is absolutely a thing you can do. We've seen it, and we've seen it in this stadium.
Yeah, you've seen it in the stadium. You're seeing it right now. I mean, we've said it a few weeks now, but the Detroit Lions do it every week. Perhaps, they're a good blueprint of how to make it work and to really kind of utilize the strengths of each guy, which is what Chuba and Rico can both do. They do very different things, and that makes it really exciting. Trevor Etienne has really kind of stepped up over these last 2 weeks as well as a running back too, and kind of earned his spot to be that guy that can spell Chuba and Rico at a time, or can be trusted to come in for them. 2 weeks now, Rico has had to step out in the fourth quarter because of cramps.
I mean, when you're running for 200 yards a game, this is going to happen.
Right, that's exactly what I was about to say. Like he's earned those cramps in a way. But both times, they've been able to trust Trevor Etienne to go out there and still handle things. He handled that final drive after Rico came out perfectly yesterday. Credit to Bryce Young, too, for making sure Trevor handled it correctly. Dave Canales told us that Bryce Young kind of pulled them aside right before they went out there and said, I don't care if they let you walk in, go down as soon as you get the first down. Yep. And Trevor did it, and he probably could have scored. They were playing a little off, and hoping to get the ball back. And Canales said when Trevor came off the field, he told him, next time you're gonna have to come off the sideline and tackle me, because I ain't stopping again.
And listen, these guys all want to get in the end zone. Teteroa McMillan got in the end zone after all that conversation about when is Teteroa ever going to score a touchdown. Oh, maybe
did it twice.
Maybe twice on Sunday. Maybe that's a thing. Yeah. But the way the Carolina Panthers are playing, they don't have to even throw the ball sometimes. But oh, by the way, that's working out okay, too. Bryce Young, by the way, has a 3-touchdown game, another game-winning drive. I think it's one of the more impressive things about Bryce. If you look at it, that was his 8th game-winning drive in his young career, 2.5 years into this deal. He's already got 8 of them, which is more than Jordan Love, who's been doing it a couple years extra. But Jordan Love hadn't always been behind as much. It's okay. It's more than C.J. Stroud. C.J.'s got 5 of them, came in the league at the same time. But Bryce is right there in that area where he's only one behind a Trevor Lawrence and a Joe Burrow, who have played about twice as many games as he has. So Bryce clearly has a knack for this 6 times in the last 16 games, which basically gets you the second half of last year into what's happening right now. He's brought this team from behind by being timely. And I went through doing math, and I love doing math. And I'm
glad one of us does.
I can show you the raw numbers and the long addition I've done here in this notebook. And Bryce Young in his last 4 games, the last 4 game-winning drives, which get you Arizona and Atlanta last year and these 2 in the last couple weeks.
Okay.
His fourth quarter passer rating, 111.35.
Pretty good.
Pretty good at football, Bryce Young is. He's got, he's shown that ability to not let the early mistakes, and obviously you'd like to not have early mistakes. Everybody would like to not have early mistakes. But when you have them, to be resilient. And Bryce has got that resilience about him. I mean, he's a guy who, doesn't say dramatic things, doesn't yell and holler and scream or any of those kind of things that's good for TV. But he's playing good ball in the fourth quarter of games, and guys trust him. I mean, this is 2 weeks in a row. Derek Brown said after the Miami game, he said after the second turnover, Bryce looks at me and he says, "Get it back for me and let's go." And Pat Jones said last night, he said, "We kind of know at this point Bryce is going to get it back. We just hand him the ball back, and he's going to get this." And they've reached that stage where it's kind of feeding itself now, and it's becoming, once again, that complementary football that every coach dreams of playing.
You know what's impressive about this, too, is Bryce didn't have to go through that at Alabama a lot.
Yeah.
They were up a lot most of those games.
Resilience is not really one of those skills you have to recruit there.
But speaking of resilience, Dave Canales had a great quote last week that I think kind of encompasses the Panthers team as a whole, but especially Bryce Young. He said, "Adversity builds resilience." And I think we can, let's call a spade a spade. Bryce Young went through a lot of adversity his rookie year.
They have done the adversity thing.
He went through some adversity last year, too. And you're seeing the payoff of that now. You're seeing him not get down and not buckle under it, but to kind of rise to it. And, Dave Canales was asked, I thought, a pretty interesting question today. You've coached both Bryce Young and Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield is playing at an MVP level right now. Did you hear about the chance he got yesterday and the receiver thought it was for him?
Yeah.
That was funny. He is playing at an MVP level right now, and Canales said, that the biggest similarity between the two guys is both of them can have something go wrong on the field and come to the sideline and be like, well, the next play is going to be a touchdown.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of belief and resilience you need to have 8 game-winning drives.
Yeah, and 2 of them back-to-back in Bank of America Stadium. A lot of cool milestones yesterday. For first 3-game home winning streak since 2022.
Technically 4 going back to last year, right?
No, they lost. Yeah, 3 games.
Cardinals. Oh, sorry, my bad.
3-game home winning streak. 3-game home winning streak here. they're at 500 deeper in a season than they've been since 2021. When they got to 5-5 in the Cam Newton I'm back game in Arizona and then didn't win another game that season, that's the last time they were this good this deep in the season. And it's just one of the things I keep saying, and you got to be getting tired of hearing me say this, my favorite adjective for football is normal. Mm-hmm. You can aspire to normal. The Carolina Panthers have now attained normal. They are playing regular football games in the way that many people watch every weekend on television, and it's not we're trying to build, we don't have enough pieces, everything's going wrong all at once, so many injuries, it's calamity. You watch them play football now, and they're in phase. Mm-hmm. They can run the ball and sustain drives. When Bryce throws an interception, all of a sudden everything doesn't go haywire. They just reset and refocus, which is what Dave Canales has been talking about. And watching them over the last couple of weeks, it's like this is the kind of thing they're clearly getting used to playing. This is the kind of football team they're getting used to being, and that's the best news anybody around here's heard.
And I know that the inevitable argument will come up, well, look at Miami's schedule. Look at the Cowboys' defense. If you are to use Darin's word, normal football team, those are the games that you do find a way to win. And, because it is hard to win in the NFL. And so if you're going to be a normal and then grow to be a better team, you find a way to win that Miami game. You find a way to win that Dallas game, and you don't fumble it away.
And listen, let me be clear. They're not at the place in the progression, and I think Dave and Dan would admit this. I mean, everybody talked about building and becoming more stable this year. They're not at a spot where any result is out of the ordinary. I mean, anything can happen. Could I see them losing to the Jets? Could I see them beating the Bills? Sure, both of those things seem equally possible to me in this moment. But they've just made so many strides in doing all those stable, basic football things at a good enough level that they're competitive every week. And I think that's the biggest testament to what they've put together here as a team so far.
Yeah. It reminds me so much of what Detroit did under Dan Campbell his first and second year. And that's we said it earlier with the running backs. It's not a bad blueprint to follow.
No, it's definitely not. By the way, so much other stuff to get to. We're running out of time, but I did want to touch base. You're a college football
Yes,
girly.
I am.
You're super into that college football.
Darin went through it on Saturday night.
I went through it on Saturday night. I wanted to see Panthers legend Cam Newton, who we all love and appreciate, get his number retired down at Auburn. And I really tried to stay awake long enough to see Cam Newton get that number retired. But the last 2 minutes of a college football game took 38
No, the last 2 minutes before the half.
The last 2 minutes before the half took 38 Earth minutes to play.
And he's not exaggerating. That's really how long it took.
It was like 9:01 to 9:39 before they ever got to the Cam portion of the program that I really wanted to see. And I was like, please let this die. Y'all watch this every week, don't you?
38 minutes for the final 2 minutes of the half is not normal. That was a little, that's big in college football too. That was a little abnormal. It can get drugged down though, because the clock management or the clock is a little different in college versus the NFL. Mm-hmm. It doesn't, it stops more. And
I'd say.
And so, it is a little different, but that one drug for sure. But you also get you get things happening. Here's what I've heard somebody say one time about college football, and I think about it all the time. College football is interesting because you have a receiver who, let me back up. You have a corner who's like an All-American guy who's probably about to go in the top 10 of the draft next year, facing off against a receiver who's going to be a dentist in the next year, and that's really when the magic happens.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Call me partial to games that take 3 hours and feature all NFL players.
Pageantry takes time.
I'm kind of weird that way, but super cool to see Cam Newton get that jersey retired.
That's awesome.
I mean, that season he had at Auburn in 2010 was one of the craziest things any of us have ever seen. I remember being at his pro day prior to that draft when he went first overall and came here and did so many amazing things. Just a brilliant career. Congratulations to Cam. Congratulations to your Carolina Panthers. Congratulations to all the fans out there in the seats. I mean, there are people who have been through it, and there were I was talking to my wife who was sitting out in the seats, and she said, listen, the vibes were good. People were into it, and everybody's like, wow, this is a lot of fun. So join us here in a couple weeks when the Buffalo Bills roll into town. between now and then, don't forget to enter the Deep Eddy Sweet Sip Sweepstakes between now and October 26th for your chance to win 2 tickets to that Saints game on November 9th. So thanks to our friends from Deep Eddy. Thanks to Cassidy. I'm Darin. There's Chuck the Duck. Matt behind the board is waving his arms. David's trying to crawl under the camera just to not be in the shot this week. We appreciate y'all. We'll see you on Thursday for the next edition of the Happy Half Hour.